Okay, good morning. Happy Friday. Oh, I'm so excited that you guys all joined us. I'm still letting some people in the room here, but I know we're tight on time, so we want to get started. Let me pin Stefanie's video here. There we go. Okay. You guys, welcome to the Producer's Mindset. I'm so excited to be able to introduce to you. Some of you guys may already know her, but she's a very special person in my life. This is my MAPS coach, Stefanie Scroggins. So, Stefanie, welcome.
Thank you, Hallie. It's great to spend time with you guys again.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I love the view that we have from the garage.
Oh,
You
yes,
and your remodel.
we are. And I'm in the garage today working. So this is full transparency, people, right? It's
Oh,
we are not perfect by any means. None of us.
I love that.
Yeah.
Stefanie, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So I've been with Keller Williams since 2014, late 2014. Was a team leader for 4.5 years in a top 10 market center and owner profit, consulted tons, 100 tons, 10 or more, $100 million teams that were there in the market center with us, recruited some mergers in, coached cappers, ran some PC stuff, and then went on to become a MAPS coach 4.5 years later. And I've been doing that for 3 years with leadership, and just feel very honored to be a part of Keller Williams.
I love that. You know, Stefanie, I get a lot of questions quite often where people ask, when is it time in my business to get a coach? When is it time to have that conversation? What is your opinion on that?
So my first opinion is when you can afford it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So run the budget model for MAPS. Personally, we look for you to be grossing GCI of $150,000 because the model is about 8% of your money should go to coaching, that type of thing. And so we don't ever want you to be coach rich and money poor, because I don't think any of you do this for, free. You're not a nonprofit. But there's a lot of ways to plug in where you don't have a one-on-one MAPS mastery coach. There's productivity coaching in your market center. Hallie does a phenomenal job consulting top agents. That's why your market center is growing, right? Or her market center, but the market centers around you. These team leaders are phenomenal coaches, because I know you guys are from different market centers. So take advantage of that, right? There's things that MAPS does that are free, that are group coaching. So just plug in, read all the emails you get, and there's plenty of things you can do for free, and there's plenty of ways you can look at hiring in. If you're a producer on this call and you do have GCI of 150,000 or more, you can actually get a MAPS coach for free for 4 calls.
Mm-hmm.
So don't shy away from that either.
Yeah, that's super powerful. And again, it's not just the individual MAPS coach, which, we know and we love that individual attention, but there's so much that Keller Williams brings and MAPS coaching brings to us on a smaller scale. There's modules you can take, there's consultations, there's lead generations that, maybe are just 3 or 4 sessions taught by some of the best coaches in the industry, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just when you feel like you're not achieving as much as you're capable of achieving, or you want to go faster, that is a great time to look into to getting a coach.
Mm-hmm. And I've always loved too that individual perspective of somebody maybe who's not so close to you and your business. And so again, you get that one-on-one relationship building, and also that custom, support for moving your business forward. It's not just a template, one size fits all kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
my husband will ask me to coach him, and I'm like, it lasts for about 3 minutes, you guys, and then we're at it, because you cannot have your loved ones hold you accountable or coach you. It will you don't want them to be loved ones, maybe, but that's a hard thing to do. So yeah,
I love that. Cool. Stefanie, thank you. I know you have some exciting stuff to share with us. Why don't you go ahead and jump right in?
Well, thank you. And again, guys, thank you so much. I know it is 8 o'clock, 8 something there. So you guys are my heroes for hopping on this at 8 a.m. in the morning. So I want to make sure it's worth your time. And so I'm going to ask a question to start. And I know probably all of you don't have your camera on, because you would look like I would look at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, because it's 11 where I am. But there you go. I love, he's always on. He was on last time. Love it. So you're going to be the person that I'm going to talk to, and you're going to shake your head. Okay. So, hey guys, some people are flipping their cameras on. I love it. Good morning. So here's my question. Change. Would you guys agree in the last year or two, we have seen some of it? Yes or no? A thumbs up, thumbs, yes. If you're driving, do not thumbs up, just shake the head. Okay, so the majority of people agree with you, by the way, that there has been a lot of change. And so I want to talk about that a little bit this morning, because the good news is our brains are built for change. Our brains actually crave it. That's why when we have to master lead generation, or we have to master a listing presentation, or we have to master or do the same thing over and over, we tend to look for something else shiny. Okay. So the good news is that our brains are built, to handle this change. Now, here's the second question. Do you feel in the last year or year and a half of your life that there has been perpetual change? Like constant change? There's change about COVID. There's change about the economy. There's change about the real estate market. There's change about our leaders. There's change, right? It's perpetual change. And most people agree that, yeah, it's a lot of change and it could be categorized as perpetual. And here's what psychologist studies show us. Our brains are not built to handle perpetual change. So the good news is we're built to handle change. We just don't like it to be perpetual. Okay. And so what I want for those of you that can, I want you to draw a circle on a piece of paper. And in that circle, I want you to write the word focus. Now, here's the deal. When our brains get into this perpetual change, we do one of two things studies show us. We either check out or we burn out. So if we check out, we still get up, we come to work every day, we go through the motions, but we don't really do the job. We don't get any results, right? We get up, we come in, or we get up and we stay home and we're still a real estate agent, we're still a fill in the blank, yet we're not getting any results because we've just checked out. We're no longer doing the job. And of course, we all know what burnout is. That's just, we get out of the job. We give it up. We are tired. We are done, right? So here's the interesting thing about this circle. The circle that you drew, that you wrote the word, easy for me to say, focus in, is what you own in your role as a realtor. That is what you own. That is what you have to do, or your business doesn't exist. Okay, it's your main focus. And thinking about that main focus takes energy. How many of you, if you exercise, you probably exercise, you run, you do whatever it is you do, and you may feel energized after you do that. I would not be one of those people. You people may be one of those people, but I've heard you feel energized, right? After you exercise. Yes, Luis is going, yes, you do, try it. No, it's not gonna, Anyway, when you've sat through a training all day, right? You're sitting, you're not doing anything. Did you feel energized at the end of the day? No, probably not. You felt tired. You were exhausted, right? So it's odd that you expended more energy physically exercising and you felt re-energized, and yet sitting through a training, you felt tired and you weren't doing anything, because our brains take more energy to work than it takes us to go do that exercise that we were doing, okay? So thinking takes energy, it drains us. But if we're thinking about, and when we're thinking about what we're focused on, that energy that we're taking, that we're draining from us, gets us results. And that energizes us, right? So I want you to draw a circle around the circle you just drew. And what all that is between the first circle you drew and the second one you drew is your peripheral. And that's all the stuff you're aware of that's going on around you that you're going to spend energy on that isn't your focus. Okay. So think about it this way. You're in the office and it's your, I'm going to bring up the two words. It's your lead gen time, right? It's your time to work on your business, right? I'm just going to say the dreaded words. It's your lead gen time, and your neighbor is having a problem with their contract. It's not getting accepted. They wanted this, they wanted that. Can you believe it? And the next thing you know, they're in your office or they're in your personal bubble, just talking about it. Well, you are good. That's your peripheral. That's things you're aware of, and you're going to use energy because you're a good person. You're a friendly sort, right? And you're going to help them, and you're going to talk to them about it, or minimally, you're going to be able to hear them through the thin wall. You're going to be aware of it. You're going to take energy, and at the end of the day, at the end of that lead gen time, if you've been interrupted 4 times, if you've gotten off track through Facebook because you just didn't stay lead genning and you got down a squirrel hole, you're going to have expended energy on that peripheral of what's outside your focus. You're going to be tired and you haven't gotten any results. It's like the trifecta of icky. Okay. So when you spend time in this peripheral part, we tend to get frustrated. We tend to worry. We tend to get no results, and it becomes this cycle that we get into. And our brains can't handle all the change, all the things that are coming at us, and we check out or we burn out. Okay? So here's a fun exercise for you to do. It's actually in 2 steps. On a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, and on the left side, write the word focus. And on the right side, write the word peripheral. I had to Google to see how to spell it, just FYI. What I want you to do is, in focus, I want you to write down what your focus is. Is it lead? So here, by the way, are the 5 jobs of a real estate agent. This would be a good start. Okay. We lead gen, we lead follow-up, we go on appointments, we negotiate contracts, and we role play and script practice. Those are the 5 jobs of a real estate agent, according to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Okay. So that's a good place to start on that focus side. Okay. Then I want you on the peripheral side to write what kind of gets you're aware of that's going on around you, yet you may deal with it, you may use energy on it, but it's not that focus. Okay. And then, so just kind of sitting going, okay, well, I dealt with it. I made a binder. I reorganized my whatever, just whatever's over there. Okay. Then I want you to carry that piece of paper around with you for a couple of days. And as you're doing things, I want you to write it down, right? As you're, whatever it is in your world. I went to training. I was on this call. I was, right? And then I want you to determine, is it a focus or is it the peripheral? Okay. It'll be interesting to see what you come up with, because the last part of this exercise is then in front of each of the things you've written down, on the focus. Let's just focus on that, because that's where you get your results from. Okay. Next to each thing you've written down on the focus side, I want you to put a plus sign for the things that bring you energy, and I want you to put a minus sign by the things that take energy from you. And some things may have a plus and a minus. For example, when I lead gen, I'm just completely honest. I don't really say what should be said. That drains me. Like, I don't love that, right? I don't love, in your all's world, I don't love calling for sale by owners. I don't love calling expireds. I don't love calling fill in the blank, right? That would be a minus for me. And yet, if I called it for sale by owner and got an appointment, that would be a plus, because I got a result, right? So there's some things, and Gary tells us 85 to 90% of our day we should get joy from, where our role, where our job, our careers are concerned. But you're going to have to do 10 to 15% of things that you just don't like to do. Maybe on focus, you wrote paperwork. Maybe that's a drain. That's a negative, right? A minus sign for you. And yet you got to do that. It keeps you compliant, allows you to keep your license. Your clients depend on you for the paperwork, right? So it's interesting to see at the end of a week, let's say, how many things you have pluses by, how many things you have minuses by, how many things you've put in focus that you decide should go to peripheral, how many things in peripheral you should just eliminate. Because when we look at the plus and minus and what's left, that's when Hallie and team leaders can start assisting you in building your business, looking at leverage. That's a whole other conversation that we can have. And yet it's good to know, right, what our focus is and what we have. So what are you guys hearing, or any questions? Hallie, I don't know what time it is. It's 11:18. So what are you guys hearing as you listen to this?
Well, I'm going to share this. So I wrote this down. Of course, you know, being a team leader is like being a rainmaker on a really big team, right? So we have the same type of activities that you guys do as agents. So I think what's funny is that when you are forced to categorize your activities in either focus or peripheral, like lead gen, for example, sometimes I will lie to myself and will say, me being on Facebook is somehow connected to my lead gen because I'm putting out, posts, or I'm connecting with people, or I'm making comments, for example. They don't actually break down the activities. You know what I mean? Like you're telling yourself that making this binder is a part of my lead follow-up because I'm putting my leads in there. Right. So it's interesting how we can find those lines, and we need to simplify what the actual activities are versus what are the individual activities we're doing that we're telling ourselves are building on our primary activities. And that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It makes, and yet if you need to make a binder to keep up with your follow-up because you're not having good follow-up, then please take time to make the binder, right? I don't know that I would if you're categorizing it as lead gen, that might get a little tricky, but you be the judge. So yeah, Hallie, that's a great point. Anybody else have any thoughts or questions? Total sense. Oh, good. Great.
What is some of you guys, like Philip, what are some of the things that you would write down in your focus column, or maybe your peripheral?
Definitely the 1 rule of 5 under focus. Something that's come up, and this is where my wife is really going to help us, is coaching the team, communicating with the team on an ongoing basis. Like, I didn't realize when they're here and I'm here, there's a lot of cross communication, and I just really have to step away and focus on my calls and lead follow-up. So having her here, it just actually dawned on me, like when we're all here, it's like a different attention span, right? Energy goes to them, which is needed, but then, we still have to keep the net +1 going. Something I wrote here is I do network a lot, or I do volunteer with the board a lot. So that's on the focus aspect, and then working with clients and coaching them through the process they're in. On peripheral, buyer search, listing process, showing home schedule or scheduling home showing homes, showing inspections, running errands, putting the realtor playbook together, I basically just started listing everything I hired a VA for and our assistants for. Data entry, I'll write that in there, but data entry, handling HomeBot, handling our FB professional page, putting together TikTok videos. That's my wife is a genius at that. Creating content. It's on my focus side. That's usually a minute and a half video. It almost sounds like I do nothing for the business, but it really is just connecting with clients and following through on the database and just putting interest and appointments together and taking contracts. It sounds silly, but that peripheral page could be like a long ass column.
Yeah, it can be a long ass column. I mean, it's and some of it's necessary. I mean, we just can't focus all the time. You know, that some of that peripheral stuff brings us joy. So we should play there. Yeah. Philip, you bring up a really great point. There is so Keller Inc. is it's where Keller Williams, like you can go get the MREA book or the One Thing book, and they have reading guides, and like all the graphs that are in the book are in one place there, right? It's Keller Inc. INK.com, I think is what it is. And they have a blog now. And there was a really great blog article that came out a couple of days ago. I'll send it to Hallie, and you can forward it out if you want, about taking the networking, taking the threads that we've sown in life and turning those into lead generation opportunities and other relationships, and how we do that. So this socialness of us really can be, you know, when you volunteer at the board, I know you're around other real estate agents, right? You're like, well, who's going to want, you know, whatever. And yet, who do they know, right? Not all of them can do business and refer out to other states. Not all of them, you know, some of them may want to do business in other states, but they're not licensed there. Their firm isn't. And so what would it look for them like to come and name you as a sponsor? And I'm a team leader at heart, guys, sorry. Name you as a sponsor and get into the expansion system, right? If you're only growing your wealth with real estate at Keller Williams, that's great. That's awesome. That is your focus. But what does it look like to take advantage of these other pillars of wealth that you can grow while you're here, right? So I think it just depends on what you do with those, you know, but networking is a great opportunity for those of you that have kids in swim or soccer, or you belong to the yoga studio, and so I'll send you that article, Hallie. It's actually really great. It might give you guys some insights.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. There's a lot of good resources on there. Outfront magazine, same thing. Outfront articles. Yeah, we'll look up that Keller Inc. because I think that's great and really good value.
Yeah.
It's awesome, Philip. I knew you would take notes. Who else? Any other questions, comments? This is wonderful. Sometimes it's that activity of actually being self-aware of the things we do on a day-to-day basis and how they affect you. You know, so often we're in those positions where we're lead genning, and even just hearing people around us draws our attention and draws our focus. Mm-hmm. And from what you've shared is that, you know, again, we use brain power and energy when we're focusing on different things around us in our environment. So that's wasted energy.
Yep.
I've done that so many times, sitting through a class. You feel exhausted and then you come out and go, why? I don't get it.
Yeah, I was just sat there all day. I ate a lot of carbs and drank a lot of caffeine. What is my problem? You know, why am I not awake?
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, who else? Anyone? Questions, comments, ahas?
I threw one more focus item. I totally forgot. And the reason why I'm doing this is like my kids and family. So they do take up a bulk of the time in a good way. And that's why we hired out the VA and a showing assistant and in-person, you know, assistant, all that fun stuff. So I think that frustration of losing deals or not being able to put contacts or whatever together really like positively drove me to say, okay, hey, we just made 50,000. How can we invest this? Right? Like we go through those weird vicious cycles where, you know, a month we're killing lead gen, A month we're putting deals together, a month we're closing all those deals, and then we repeat that cycle. And then we're killing lead gen and killing appointments and then killing the escrows. So at some point we just became like, okay, wait, we have this chunk of money. Let's invest it into coaching. That's where it started. Coaching, how do we get more repeat business from our database and not, do an open house 52 weekends out of the year? How do we maintain a life, or create a life? And then from coaching, it became, hey, Philip, you're doing a lot of administrative work. Why don't you think of hiring a VA? Or I went to the coach and said, hey, I want to hire an assistant, but I'm a little weird about paying someone $25 an hour. What's your take on it? It led to a VA. The VA led to a showing assistant. Showing assistant led to someone to work with that showing assistant. So I wasn't the person scheduling all the showings and all that stuff. So it became an operations director. And then it just made us more effective in the same blocks of time. The same 4 hours became awesome. 10 solid conversations, a total of 20 contacts, made, and then appointments and contracts. And now my clients understand, oh, cool. So I have this personal showing assistant who'll get me in whenever I want to get in. Thumbs up. And, everything else just kind of runs smoothly. But when you're 1,000% right. When that money hits, it's like, invest it. Yeah, get caught up, set aside for taxes. But, find a way to reinvest that money so it comes back to you 1,000-fold.
And what I heard you say, Philip, that was brilliant, and I don't know if you realized it, not only did you reinvest your money, but you reinvested your time, right? So when you hire somebody, when you got the virtual assistant, when you got the showing assistant, you took that time and you were able to focus on your family, right? And so you weren't spent when you were with them, or you could focus and be present when you were with them. But what I also heard you say was you grew the business. So every time we bring somebody onto our team that we're paying money for, it should enable us to do 24 more transactions, because we're still lead generating. We're still purposely talking to our database. And so I think it's great what you mentioned there about you took what you were, the money, you reinvested it, but you also reinvested your time.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I love that. I love it. Okay, you guys, thank you, Stefanie, so much for joining me. I always love your words of wisdom. If you guys take anything away today, remember to assess those opportunities that you have, assess those activities that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Also, if you have 150,000 GCI or over, and you guys are considering getting into coaching, reach out to your team leaders, and you guys will get some free sessions to see if it's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
Thanks, guys. Thanks for all you
have
do.
a happy Friday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome. Have a happy Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.